My brother slapped my 2-year-old daughter so hard that her tiny body stumbled back and hit the wall. And the worst part? My parents didn't rush to her. They didn't scream. They didn't even look shocked. My mother just sighed, as if this was nothing more than a spilled glass of milk. "She shouldn't have been screaming like that," she said calmly. In that moment, something inside me broke. I had always known my family wasn't perfect, but I never imagined they would become the kind of people who could justify hurting a child. Especially my child. Her name is Lily. She's 2 years old, soft curls, wide brown eyes, the kind of laugh that makes strangers smile. She still struggles to pronounce certain words, and sometimes she throws tantrums when she's tired or overwhelmed. You know, like every toddler in the world. That day, I made the mistake of bringing her to my parents' house. I hadn't visited them in weeks, not because I didn't want to, but because every visit left me feeling smaller, judged, exhausted. Still, they were my parents, and I kept telling myself, maybe this time will be different. So I packed Lily's favorite toy, some snacks, and drove over. The moment we walked in, I felt it. That tension, that silent, heavy air that wraps around your chest and doesn't let you breathe. My brother Daniel was already there. Of course he was. Daniel never really moved out. At 32, he still lived with our parents, drifting between short-lived jobs and longer-lasting excuses. But in their eyes, he could do no wrong. "Look who finally decided to show up," he said, leaning back on the couch, not even bothering to stand. I ignored him. I always ignored him, because engaging with Daniel was like stepping into quicksand. The more you struggled, the deeper you sank. "Hi, Mom," I said, forcing a smile. She glanced at me briefly, then at Lily. "She's gotten louder," she commented. "Not bigger. Not cuter. Louder." I swallowed my irritation. "She's 2, I replied. As if that explained everything. For the first 20 minutes, things were manageable. Lily played with her toy on the floor. I sat at the table, making small talk with my mother. My father barely looked up from his phone. Daniel scrolled through something, occasionally smirking at whatever he was watching. Normal. Or at least, our version of normal. Then it started. Lily got tired. It always begins the same way. She rubs her eyes. Her movements slow down. Her voice gets softer, and then suddenly louder. She wanted her juice. I had packed it, but she couldn't find it in her bag. "I want juice," she cried, her little voice stretching the word. "I've got it, baby," I said, getting up. But before I could reach her, "Can you make her stop?" Daniel snapped. I froze. "She's fine," I said carefully. "She's just tired." "She's annoying," he shot back. My mother didn't say anything. She just kept stirring her tea. Lily's voice grew louder. Not screaming. Not yet. Just that whiny, exhausted cry that toddlers make when their world feels like it's falling apart. "Juice." "I'm getting it," I said again, quicker this time. But Daniel stood up. Slowly. Deliberately. And something in my chest tightened. "Sit down," I told him. He didn't. "You need to control your kid," he said, walking toward her. "She's 2, Daniel. And she's acting like a child." "Well, maybe she needs to learn." My heart started pounding. "Daniel, don't." The sound of his hand hitting her cheek echoed louder than her crying. It was sharp. Violent. Wrong. Lily's head jerked to the side. Her tiny body stumbled back, her balance lost, until she hit the wall with a soft, sickening thud. For a split second, silence. Then she cried, not the tired whining from before. This was different. This was fear, pure, terrified, broken sound that ripped straight through me. "What did you just do?" I screamed, rushing to her. I dropped to my knees, pulling her into my arms. Her body was shaking. "It's okay, baby, it's okay. Mommy's here." Her cheek was already turning red. My hands trembled. I looked up at Daniel. "What is wrong with you?" He didn't look sorry. Not even a little. "She needed to stop," he said flatly. I waited for it, for my parents to react, to yell, to defend her. To tell him to get out. Anything. But my mother just sighed. That same quiet, tired sigh. She shouldn't have been screaming like that, she repeated. I stared at her, not understanding, not processing. You're defending him? I whispered. She's been loud since you got here, she said, as if we were discussing background noise, not violence. My father finally looked up. She needs discipline, he added. Discipline. For a 2-year-old. I felt something shift inside me, not just anger, something deeper. Colder, final. You hit my child, I said slowly, standing up, Lily still clinging to me. Daniel shrugged. She's a little monster. That word, monster. About my daughter. And that's when I realized something I should have understood years ago. This wasn't new. This wasn't sudden. This was who they had always been. I had just been too used to it to see it clearly. But now it was aimed at her. And that I would never allow. Don't ever come near her again, I said, my voice shaking but steady. Oh, don't be dramatic. My mother waved her hand. I'm not being dramatic, I replied. I walked toward the door. Where are you going? She asked. Home, I said. And don't bother coming back. Behind me, I heard Daniel scoff. Good. Take your little monster with you. I didn't turn around. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. Not there. But the moment I got into the car and closed the door, Lily still sobbing softly in my arms. I broke, because in that moment, I knew something with absolute certainty. I hadn't just lost my temper. I had lost my family. And this time, it was permanent. I drove without knowing where I was going. My hands were shaking so badly I had to pull over twice. Lily had finally calmed down, her sobs fading into quiet hiccups as she clung to me in her car seat, her small fingers gripping my sleeve like she was afraid I might disappear. It's okay, baby, I whispered, even though my own voice wasn't steady. No one's gonna hurt you again. I promise. But promises felt fragile in that moment, because the people who were supposed to protect us were the ones I needed to protect her from. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again. The sound. The impact. Her tiny face snapping to the side. And my mother's voice, calm and cold. She shouldn't have been screaming. By morning, something had changed inside me. The shock was gone. What remained was clarity. And anger. Controlled, focused anger. The first thing I did was take photos. Of Lily's cheek. The redness had faded slightly, but there was still a faint mark. Enough. Enough to prove what happened. My hands didn't shake this time. Then I opened my phone and scrolled through my contacts. I stopped at one name. Emily. Emily and I had been friends for years. But more importantly, she was a lawyer. A very good one. I hesitated for a second, not because I doubted her, but because I knew what this call meant. There would be no going back after this. No pretending, no keeping the peace, no family dinners where we all acted like everything was fine. This would burn everything to the ground. I pressed call. Hey, you sound off, Emily said after a few seconds. I need your help, I said. There was a pause. What happened? I took a breath. My brother hit Lily. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. An hour later, she was sitting in my kitchen, her expression tight, focused. Tell me everything, she said. And I did. Every detail. Every word. Every excuse. She didn't interrupt. Didn't soften it. Didn't try to comfort me with empty phrases. When I finished, she leaned back and crossed her arms. That's assault, she said simply. He's my brother, I replied automatically. And she's your daughter, Emily shot back. That landed. Hard. What do you want to do? She asked. The question hung in the air, because for the first time, it wasn't about surviving my family. It was about choosing what came next. I want him to never be able to do that again, I said. Then we make sure of it. The next few days were surreal. Emily helped me file a report. I submitted the photos. Gave a statement. Every word felt heavy. like I was carving something permanent into stone. And in a way, I was. Then came the backlash. It started with messages. First from my mother. How could you do this to your own family? Then my father. You're overreacting. This will ruin Daniel's life. And finally, Daniel himself. You really think anyone will believe you? She's a spoiled brat. You're just a bad mother. I read every message. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel the need to respond. But they didn't stop there. 2 days later, my mother showed up at my door. Unannounced. Of course. I opened it just enough to see her face. Tight. Angry. How dare you? She said immediately. No, I replied calmly. You don't get to come here and talk like that. You're destroying this family. No, I said again. You did that. Her expression flickered. For a second. Just a second. I saw something else. Not anger. Not control. Fear. You need to drop this, she said, lowering her voice. It's gone too far. It hasn't gone far enough, I replied. She's just a child. She won't even remember. I will, I said. And that shut her up. You always were dramatic, she muttered. And you always made excuses, I shot back. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Don't come crying to us when you regret this. I almost laughed. Regret? For protecting my child? No, I said quietly. That's not going to happen. And I closed the door. The court process moved faster than I expected. Faster than I was ready for. But Emily stayed with me through every step. Guiding. Explaining. Preparing. You're not just doing this for now, she told me. You're setting a boundary that will last for the rest of your life. She was right. The day of the hearing, I felt strangely calm. Not because I wasn't nervous, but because I knew the truth was on my side. Daniel sat across the room. Relaxed. Almost bored. Like this was all a minor inconvenience. My parents sat behind him. Of course they did. Supporting him. Again, always. When it was my turn to speak, my voice didn't shake. I described what happened, clearly, directly, without exaggeration. Because I didn't need to exaggerate. The truth was enough. Daniel's lawyer tried to twist it. She was being disruptive. He reacted instinctively. It wasn't that serious. But then the photos were shown, and something shifted in the room. You couldn't argue with that. When the judge spoke, the room went completely silent. This behavior is unacceptable, she said firmly. Regardless of the child's behavior, physical force against a minor, especially of this age, is considered abuse. Daniel's expression changed for the first time. Just slightly. But I saw it. A restraining order was issued. He wasn't allowed near Lily. Or me, not now, not ever, unless legally revised. And just like that, a line had been drawn. For real this time. Outside the courthouse, my mother caught up to me. You've made your point, she said quickly. Now stop this before it gets worse. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time, I didn't see my mother. I saw a person who chose comfort over truth. Over and over again. No, I said. Her face hardened. Then don't expect us to be part of your life anymore. I didn't hesitate. I already don't. Weeks passed. Then months. The silence from my family became permanent. No calls. No messages. No apologies. But something unexpected happened. Life got quieter. Safer. Lighter. Lily started laughing again. That full, bright laugh that fills a room. And every time I heard it, I knew. I had made the right choice. One evening, as I tucked her into bed, she looked up at me and said softly, Mommy, no bad man. My chest tightened. No, baby, I whispered, brushing her hair back. No bad man. She smiled, closed her eyes, and drifted off to sleep. I sat there for a long time after, watching her, thinking about everything that had happened, everything I had lost, and everything I had protected. Because yes, I lost my family. But I saved my daughter. And in the end, that was never a choice at all. 6 months later, I thought the story was over. I was wrong. Because some endings don't come quietly. Some come back louder, sharper, and far more revealing than anything that came before. It started with a phone call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something, instinct, maybe, made me swipe. Hello? A pause, then a voice I hadn't heard in months. My father. You need to come down to the bank, he said. No greeting. No apology. Just a command. My chest tightened. I don't think so. It's about the house, he added quickly. And your name is involved. That stopped me. My name? I repeated. Yes, he said. Just come. We'll explain. We. Of course. I shouldn't have gone. I knew that. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. And something about the way he said it felt different. So I called Emily. Don't go alone, she said immediately. I won't. An hour later, I walked into the bank with Emily by my side. And there they were. All three of them. My father, my mother, Daniel, together. Like nothing had happened. Like we weren't standing on opposite sides of something irreversible. Daniel didn't even look at me. My mother did. Briefly. Then away. My father cleared his throat. Let's sit. No, Emily said calmly. You can explain right here. I almost smiled. My father hesitated, then pulled out a folder. There's been a situation, he said. What kind of situation? I asked. He slid the papers toward me. I looked down. And for a second, I didn't understand what I was seeing. The house. Their house. Was no longer fully theirs. Half of it was in my name. What is this? I asked slowly. My mother shifted uncomfortably. It's just a technical thing. It's not a technical thing, Emily interrupted, already scanning the document. This is a legal ownership transfer. I looked up. Start talking. My father exhaled. The house was originally under your grandmother's name, he said. When she passed, it was supposed to be split. Between you and me, I finished. He nodded, but we handled it differently at the time. Of course they did. You mean you kept everything, I said. It was easier, my mother snapped defensively. For who? She didn't answer. So what changed? I asked. Silence. Then Emily spoke. Debt, she said, tapping the document. My eyes snapped back down. And there it was. Loans. Missed payments. Legal notices. Daniel, I said quietly. No one corrected me. He needed help, my mother said quickly. Things got out of hand. How much? I asked. My father swallowed. A lot. I let out a short, humorless laugh. And now you suddenly remember I exist? That's not fair, my mother said sharply. No? I replied. You didn't remember I existed when he hit my daughter. That shut her up. Again. We're not here to argue, my father said. We just need you to sign a document. Of course they did. I looked at Emily. She didn't even hesitate. Don't, she said. What happens if I don't? I asked. My father's jaw tightened. The bank could force a sale, and your problem becomes mine. How? Because your name is on it now, lots, he snapped. That was the moment everything clicked. They hadn't come to fix anything. They came to use me. Again. I leaned back slightly. Calm. Clear. Done. No, I said. My mother's eyes widened. What do you mean, no? I mean, I replied slowly, I'm not signing anything. You're being selfish, she snapped. I almost laughed. Selfish. After everything. You want my help? I said. Then let's be honest. They went quiet. All these years, I continued. You chose him. No one argued. You defended him. Silence. You protected him. Still nothing. And when he hurt my child, my voice hardened. You made excuses. My father looked away. My mother crossed her arms. Daniel finally spoke. It wasn't a big deal. I turned to him. Really looked at him. And for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger. No pain. Just distance. You're right, I said. He frowned. What? It wasn't a big deal, I repeated calmly. It was the moment I stopped being part of this family. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. So no, I said again. I'm not signing anything. You'll regret this, my mother whispered. I shook my head. No, I said softly. I already lived through what regret looks like. I stood up. Emily followed. But before I walked away, I paused. There's one more thing, I added. They looked at me. Confused. I'll be selling my share. My father's face went pale. You can't. I can, Emily said calmly. And I will, I finished. You destroy this house? My mother gasped. I looked at her, steady, unmoved. You already did. 3 months later, the house was gone. Sold, legally, cleanly. I didn't take revenge. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't fight. I just stopped protecting people who never protected me. The money I received changed my life. A new home. A better neighborhood. A small garden where Lily could play safely, freely. One evening she ran across the grass, laughing, her curls bouncing in the sunlight. Mommy, look! I smiled. I see you, baby. And I did. Not just her, but everything, clearly. Finally, because sometimes losing your family isn't the tragedy. Sometimes it's the beginning of your freedom.